Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The soft glow of the lunacid light shimmered across the tranquil waters of Lake Elrondar, casting long shadows over the trees as Tyrande Whisper Wind knelt before the sacred altar. She closed her eyes, feeling the presence of her goddess surrounding her. The moon goddess had spoken to her through dreams for many nights, filling her mind with cryptic visions of danger and hope. But tonight the message was clear. Elun's tear, a relic of immense power, had been lost for centuries, and now the time had come to find it once more. Tyrande rose to her feet, her mind racing. She had shared the prophecy with no one, not even Malfurion. Her heart ached with the burden of the task ahead, but there was no time for hesitation. The Emerald Dream awaited, and within it, the power of the Lich King still lingered like a festering wound. Tyrande turned her silver armor, catching the moonlight as her eyes settled on the forest beyond. She knew what had to be done. "Vow," she whispered, her voice carried by the wind. Moments later, the great Archidrid emerged from the trees, his presence calm and commanding. His antlered headdress and long emerald robe swayed as he approached, his eyes filled with concern. "You've seen it again, haven't you?" Tyrande nodded, her lips tightening. Luna's tear is in the Emerald Dream, but it's not alone. Arthas, his echo still remains there, clinging to the last vestiges of power. If he claims the relic, the consequences will be unimaginable. We must find it before he does. Malfurion's expression darkened. The corruption of the Emerald Dream had been a source of great pain for him, a realm meant to nurture life, now twisted by the Lich King as residual presence. "Taliesin, we have no time to lose. We leave immediately." Together, they made their way to the portal, leading to the Emerald Dream. Tyrande, ever attuned to the divine, murmured a prayer to Elun, asking for guidance and strength. As they stepped through, the world around them faded into a swirl of vibrant green and gold, the barrier between the waking world and the dream dissolving like myth. The Emerald Dream was breathtaking, yet eerily silent. The trees, impossibly tall and vibrant, stood like sentinels against the sky, their leaves shimmering with otherworldly light. But beneath the surface, something felt wrong. The air was heavy, almost suffocating, with a dark presence lingering at the edges of Tyrande's senses. They moved deeper into the dreamscape, Malfurion, leading the way with his innate connection to the natural world, guiding their path. As they walked, the ground beneath their feet began to shift. The once vibrant grass grew dark, brittle, and twisted. Creatures that should have been peaceful guardians of the dream were now corrupted, their forms grotesque and unnatural. Tyrande's hand tightened on her glaive as they passed through a clearing where once beautiful creatures now writhed in torment, their eyes glowing with a sickly, unnatural light. She knew that the echo of Arthas was close. His corruption had seeped into the dream, warping it, twisting its very essence. "We were nearing the source," Malfurion said, his voice low and steady, though Tyrande could hear the tension beneath it. "But the dream is unstable. The deeper we go, the more dangerous it becomes." Tyrande's gaze sharpened. "Yeah, we can turn back now if Arthas' echo reaches the relic first." She didn't finish the thought. They both knew what was at stake. As they pressed on, the corruption grew more intense. The trees around them, once tall and majestic, were now twisted into nightmarish shapes, their bark blackened and oozing a dark, foul-smelling sap. The creatures that roamed the dream were no longer merely corrupted. They were aggressive, attacking without warning. A massive creature emerged from the undergrowth, a twisted amalgamation of bear and wolf, its fur matted, and its eyes glowing with a malevolent red light. It lunged at Tyrande with a snarl, its claws outstretched with a swift motion. She raised her glaive, the weapon gleaming in the faint light of the dream as it met the creature's attack. Malfurion moved beside her, his staff glowing with green energy as he called upon the forces of nature to restrain the beast. Vines erupted from the ground, wrapping around the creature's legs and dragging it to the earth. Tyrande wasted no time, plunging her glaive into the creature's heart, ending its suffering. But there was no time to rest. More creatures lurked in the shadows, their dark forms barely visible in the twisting landscape. Tyrande and Malfurion fought side by side, cutting through the corrupted beasts that had once been the dream, self-protector. It was a brutal reminder of what was at stake, of the power of this, echoes still held within the dream. When the last of the creatures had fallen, they paused to catch their breath. Tirana glanced at Malfurion, her chest heaving from the exertion. We need to keep moving. The longer we stay here, the more the corruption spread. Malfurion nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. Hire the relic, ... It's not close. I can feel it. They continued their journey, the landscape growing darker and more twisted with each step. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and the trees seemed to groan under the weight of the corruption that had overtaken them. Tyrinae's heart pounded in her chest as they neared the center of the dream, where the relic was said to be hidden. And then they saw it, a glimmer of silver light in the distance, shining like a beacon amidst the darkness. The relic of a loon resting atop a stone pedestal in the center of a twisted grove. But even as they approached, Tyrande could sense the darkness that surrounded it. Iris's echo was here. Without warning, a voice, cold and hollow, echoed through the dream. Did you truly think you could escape me, Tyrande? Did you truly believe that I would allow you to claim the relic? Tyrana's blood ran cold. The voice was unmistakable. Arthas, or rather, what was left of him. His essence had taken root in the dream, lingering like a disease. A figure began to materialize before them, shrouded in shadow. It was not the Arthas Tyrande had once known, the prince who had betrayed his kingdom and become the Lich King. This was a twisted, distorted version of him, an echo of his former self, bound to the corruption of the dream. Malfurion stepped forward, his voice filled with anger. You are not welcome here. Arthas, your time has passed. The echo of Arthas laughed, a sound that sent chills down Tyrande's spine. You cannot stop me. Archigriddle relic belongs to me. With its power, I will be reborn, stronger than ever before. Tyrande raised her glaive, her eyes narrowing. You will not touch the relic. Elun's slight will banish you from this realm. The echo of Arthas sneered, his form solidifying as he raised his hand. Dark tendrils of magic began to snake through the air, wrapping around the trees and the ground beneath their feet. The very fabric of the dream seemed to tremble under his power. Tyrande moved swiftly, her glaive cutting through the tendrils of shadow as she charged at Arthas. Malfurion called upon the power of the dream, summoning vines and roots to restrain the echo, but the corruption was strong. The tendrils of darkness lashed out, striking at them with a force that sent Tyrande reeling. She landed hard on the ground, her vision swimming, but she couldn't stop now. The relic was within reach, and Arthas was too powerful to face without it. Gritting her teeth, Tyrande pushed herself to her feet, her glaive glowing with a loon's sight. I will not let you in, Arthas, not this time. With a roar of determination, she charged at the echo once more, her weapon blazing with divine energy. The clash of light and dark filled the air as she and Malfurion fought together, their movements synchronized, their resolve unwavering. But even as they fought, Tyrande could feel the weight of the battle pressing down on them. Arthas' echo was powerful, his corruption deep, and the dream itself was fighting against them. She glanced at the relic, silver light pulsing with energy. They needed to reach it. It was the only way to stop Arthas once and for all. Tyranine's breath came in sharp, uneven bursts, her heart pounding as she locked eyes with the echo of Arthas. The weight of the battle pressed down on her, but she didn't waver. Her connection to Elunsemp's power surged through her, filling her with the light of the goddess, a beacon of hope against the suffocating darkness. Beside her, Malfurion's presence was a constant, his green eyes fixed on the shadowy figure before them, his staff glowing with nature's energy. Arthas' twisted form, no longer fully human, but not entirely gone, loomed before them, his voice cold and biting, sent shivers down Tyrande's spine. You cannot win this fight, he hissed, his words dripping with malice. I have become one with the dream. I am eternal. Tyrande's jaw clenched, and with a swift motion, she raised her glaive, channeling Elun's divine energy into the blade. You are nothing more than a remnant, Arthas. She spat, a memory, and memory's fate. The echo sneered, his dark magic swirling around him, forming tendrils of shadow that reached out to ensnare them. Malfurion stepped forward, raising his hands to summon a wall of thorns and roots, shielding them from the encroaching darkness. But it wasn't enough. The corruption was too deep, too entrenched in the dream, and Arthas was feeding off it, growing stronger with every passing moment. Tyrande's eyes flicked to the relic, still glowing faintly on its pedestal, a beacon of pure silver light amidst the chaos. She could feel its pull, the power thrumming in the air like a pulse, waiting to be claimed. But Arthas stood between them, a wall of malevolent energy blocking their path. Malfurian's voice broke through the cacophony of battle, steady and resolute. Tyrande, you must reach the relic. It is the only way to stop him. Tyrande nodded, her muscles tense as she prepared to make her move. But before she could act, the ground beneath her feet shook violently, and dark tendrils of magic erupted from the earth, wrapping around her legs, pulling her down. She struggled against them, but they were too strong, their grip tightening with every second. The echo of Arthas laughed, a deep, menacing sound that echoed through the dream. You cannot escape me, priestess. You are mine. Tyranne's mind raced. She had to reach the relic, but Arthas was too powerful. She could feel the darkness creeping closer, threatening to overwhelm her, but she wasn't here alone. She never had been. Elune, she whispered, closing her eyes. Guide me. In that moment, a soft light enveloped her, warm and comforting, as if the goddess herself had placed a protective hand on her shoulder. The tendrils of darkness recoiled, hissing as they withdrew from her. Tyrande opened her eyes, filled with new resolve. She would not fall to Arthas' corruption. With a burst of speed, she surged forward, her glaive slicing through the remaining tendrils as she charged toward the relic. The echo of Arthas roared in fury, summoning a storm of dark magic to block her path, but Tyrande moved with the grace and power of Elune herself. Nothing would stop her now. She reached the pedestal, her hand outstretched, fingers just inches from the relic. But before she could touch it, Arthas appeared before her in a flash of shadow, his cold, glowing eyes locking onto her. This relic is mine, he growled, his voice low and dangerous. Tyranne's heart raced as she stared into the eyes of the once prince, now nothing more than a shadow of his former self. No, she said firmly, her voice steady. This relic belongs to Elune, and I will not let you take it. Arthas raised his hand, dark magic swirling around his fingertips, ready to strike. But Tyrande was faster in a single fluid motion. She raised her glaive and struck, the blade cutting through the air with a flash of silver light. The echo of Arthas howled in pain as the divine energy of Elune seared his form. His dark magic faltered, the tendrils of shadow receding as he staggered backward. Tyrande didn't hesitate. She reached for the relic, her fingers closing around the smooth, cool surface of Elune's tear. A surge of power rushed through her, filling her with an overwhelming sense of peace and strength. The relic pulsed in her hand, its light growing brighter, banishing the darkness that had plagued the dream. Arthas roared, his form flickering and shifting as the light of the relic washed over him. No, he screamed, his voice filled with desperation. This cannot be. But it was too late. The power of Elune was too strong. The echo of Arthas, the last remnant of the Lich King, began to fade, his form dissolving into nothingness. His final anguished cry echoed through the dream before it was swallowed by the light. Tyrande stood still, the relic glowing in her hand, her heart pounding in her chest. It was over. The echo of Arthas was gone, and the emerald dream was safe once more. Malfurion approached her, his eyes filled with relief and pride. You did it, he said softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. The dream is healed. Tyrande nodded, though the weight of what she had just done still hung heavy in the air. The relic pulsed gently in her hand, its power both awe-inspiring and terrifying. She could feel its potential, the ability to heal, to destroy, and it frightened her. We must hide it, she said quietly, her voice firm. Elune's tear is too powerful. It must be protected so that no one, not even us, can be tempted by it. Malfurion agreed, his gaze lingering on the relic. You're right, its power is too great for any one being to wield. Together, they made their way back through the emerald dream, the corruption that had plagued the realm now dissipating, the twisted trees and creatures returning to their natural, peaceful form. The air was lighter, fresher, as though a great weight had been lifted. As they stepped out of the dream and back into the waking world, Tyrande felt a sense of peace wash over her. The battle had been hard fought, but they had prevailed. Arthas was gone and the relic was safe. But even as she held the relic in her hand, Tyrande knew that their journey was far from over. The world was always changing, always in flux, and while the threat of Arthas had been vanquished, new challenges would rise. For now, though, they had earned their respite. Together, she and Malfurion would guard the relic, protecting it from those who would seek to use its power for ill. And when the time came, when the world needed them once more, they would be ready. Tirande gazed up at the night sky, the light of the lune shining brightly overhead. The goddess had guided her as she always had, and Tirande would continue to serve her, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The relic of the lune, now hidden away in a place only she and Malfurica knew, pulsed with a faint light. It would remain there, a symbol of both hope and caution, waiting for the day it would be needed again.